Saludos and salutations, Broncos country, and welcome back into another exciting episode of Broncos Talk. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got a banger for you today. We hope that your holiday was fantastic. There's probably still some leftover turkey in your fridge right now as I'm talking, so make sure you guys go get it, have that warm, have your beer cold, make yourselves comfortable as hell because you are not going to want to miss a single part of today's episode. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we have got a lot to cover, especially for the week that Libre and I have been off. We were just got done talking backstage about everything that's happened, and we cannot wait to talk to you guys about everything, which is the good, the bad, and the baki, as we like to say around here. So please get comfortable because you are not going to want to miss a single episode of today's show. So with that being said, get ready because here we go. And welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adan Diaz, and joining me to my left or right, depending on which direction you are watching us, is my co-host and my best friend, the Bronco Libre.
What's happening, Broncos country? How are we feeling out there? That's all I got to say. How are we feeling right now?
You see, this time I didn't give you like the long Bronco Libre because I don't know. Like, I just felt like all the R's were taking in our title today. So that's why it was kind of like mundane. But you're still a very important figure in the Broncos community. Don't get it twisted, Libre. It's just that we ran out of R's. Our budget for the show is very, very small.
You know, it's funny that you say that as well, because in my last name, I have R's, so it's like always. So when people like pronounce it, I always say, yeah, this is Elias Valderrama. Let's go.
I think that we have the Mexican radio stations to blame because I'm pretty sure they're the same thing all over the place. But if you've ever heard a Mexican radio telecast, it is like they roll their R's. And I'm pretty sure it's not like that in the script, but the way that they yell and enunciate certain words and letters, it's just freaking hilarious.
Well, you know what's also pretty cool is like, I don't know if some of you guys have been viewing my TikToks at all, but every week the Broncos in Espanol put out about a minute or so of the Spanish broadcast of them making the calls with the Broncos making this, and his name is Jose Rios. And it is phenomenal. And I post the videos, always give him the credit for the videos itself and all that. And the amount of comments and likes that I get off of those videos saying, turn off Tony Romo. I can't stand Tony Romo. I'm going to be listening to this guy now going forward. And it is so much true because of the passion that they have. And when they're making these calls, even when I listen to Dave Logan is a legend. But when you listen to him, it's not the excitement that's there when you hear from Jose Rios itself. So out there, Jose Rios, keep on doing what you're doing. Viva la raza and vámonos Broncos! Touchdown Broncos! And it's just awesome, this excitement. If you haven't listened to it, go check it out on my TikTok.
That is correct. But ladies and gentlemen, we are getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. We have a lot to talk to you guys. I know you guys missed us and we missed you last week. Shout out to the guys that worked throughout the holiday to make sure that you guys were not left out without Broncos content. Those guys are amazing. I cannot thank you guys enough for what you guys did and for spending time with not just your own families, but the Broncos family and community and the Orange and Blue Network fans as well. But as always, we have a couple of things we have to get out of the way before we start today's show, just like we do every single start of every episode. First of all, Libre and I would like to ask you guys if you could please show your support for us here on the Orange and Blue Network, especially here on Broncos Talk, by subscribing, sharing, commenting, and liking this and all of your favorite videos here on the network. The beautiful thing about having a variety of shows, ladies and gentlemen, on this network is that there is something for everybody. And for some people, you can be greedy and like just more than one. But please, Helping us get the word out to the rest of Broncos country helps you, me, and everybody here spread the word and show everybody that we love this team and that we are here for the long run and that we are not day one fans. Nothing wrong with day one fans, but we are longtime fans and we welcome day one fans, but no bandwagon fans. We don't have room for bandwagoners. For any business inquiries, you can email at Broncos Talk 2020 at gmail.com. For our audio listeners, please, 5-star reviews are always well appreciated. If you'd like, you can screenshot those same reviews and send it to us here on our Twitter handles, and we will shout you guys out here live on the show. Our Twitter handles are at the bottom. Mine is at a 6'10" Mexican. Bronco Libre is at Bronco Libre 5280. Ladies and gentlemen, today's show is brought to you by Dubby. For those that don't know, Dubby has no sugar, calories, no maltodextrin, no fillers, and no artificial colors. It's basically formulated with nothing but amino acids, B vitamins, and nootropics, including their patented neurofactor nootropic and the caffeine, which is from the coffee fruit itself. And to show you guys how awesome they are, they want to hook you guys up with a free 10% off your order at checkout when you have all of your favorite flavors and products in your basket, ready to go and be shipped to your home. All you have to do is use the code OBN10 to get your 10% off your order at checkout. Again, ladies and gentlemen, that code is OBN10 to get your 10% off your order at checkout. Shout out to W for being a continued sponsor of this and all the shows here on the Orange and Blue Network, as well as the guys over at the Nothing to Rhyme With show for hooking you up and me and Libre with this amazing offer. And speaking of those guys, ladies and gentlemen, we are nearing the end of the regular season. It is only 4 or 5 weeks away before the playoffs officially start. So I got to get you guys caught up to speed. If this is your first time here, so you move down the pipeline for the remainder of the show and into the new year, which is soon to be here, Libre. So all the times that I'm going to read to you, please, they are in Mountain Time. So every Monday and Friday at 11 a.m., we have the Orange and Blue Blitz with Isaiah the Gentleman, the Bronco Gentleman, who will always come to you at 11 a.m. and bring you all the news up to speed for that show. Broncos Bros, Mondays at 7, because, hey, if you don't even Bronco, they don't even want you, bro. Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m., we have the Nothing to Rhyme with Orange and Blue show, which is the flagship show here on the network. Wednesdays at 2:30 for all those that are Rockies and Nuggets fans as well as Broncos fans. They got you covered at the Mile Symposium with all of the news up to date for the day. Broncos Talk, the current show you're watching right now, of course. And then on Thursday, we have the Mile Oukast at 7 p.m. Friday, we have Viva los Broncos, the only Spanish-led podcast network, which will also feature the return of one Bronco Libre who has been MIA the last couple of weeks. Then, of course, we have the Fresh Squeeze, which brings you breaking news of anything that happens in Broncos country. So make sure you have that little notification button clicked on so that you never miss a single break of the action. And then, of course, every pregame, we have the Get Bucked pregame show with all the guys breaking down all the news, action, and I was going to say highlights. That's for the postgame show. And then we have the Bucking Booth, which is a play-by-play for those of you that are unable to watch the game and you want to just have it playing in the background somewhere. The Bucking Booth guys got you covered with every single action, play-by-play action. And then, of course, we have the post-game show, which is the Buck Your Feelings post-game show, where they do talk about what happened in the game and possible highlights, and as well as game balls, depending on the result of the show.
Whew. Man, we even had a week off, and I'm still tired of it. I don't know if it might be the turkey, though. It might be the turkey. Gobble, gobble.
El pavo, pavo.
El pavo. El gobble, gobble.
But, ladies and gentlemen, in case you haven't seen the title of today's show, it's basically what we've been called. I've been hearing it the last couple of days around the news shows, Libre, which is the Cardiac Broncos. And they have struck again this past Sunday Night Football on primetime. I'm pretty sure that the whoever controls the network heads are really glad that they did not move that game out of primetime, Libre, because both teams gave them a show, kept us on the edge of our seats the entire time. I was not expecting that game to go into overtime, Libre. Hell, I wasn't even expecting that game to go the way it did. Now, I've been racking my brain about how to talk about this, Libre, because I've heard everything from both sides, from people that are Broncos fans that are obviously happy that the team is 10-2. And then from people outside looking in that are calling this team fraudulent because of the way that they're winning their games. It is getting really, really hard every single week, Libre, kind of trying to come up with different reasons to defend that notion. And the thing that's getting into me is that basically, if your team isn't going out there and putting up 30 points, the offense, and winning, it kind of, they're making it sound like like that win doesn't matter. And to me, that couldn't be farther from the truth. Okay. Yes, I understand that the way the Broncos have won most of their games have not been the way that we want them to win. All right. But they went ahead and did what they did to get those wins. So whether that win was by a 30-point margin or a point or 2 points, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make that win any less significant, Libre. Like the W is not going to be lowercase because the Broncos didn't win by 30. Let's say, for example, that win is a win. So on the other hand, before I turn it over to you, it's a lot of people are comparing this season to what the Chiefs were doing last year, where they were literally winning games by the skin of their teeth.
Mm-hmm.
But with
11-0, they had that's what they were, 11-0 on those.
Yeah, and let me just remind you, Libre, that even with them winning the games the way that they did, when they got to the playoffs, they turned into a different team. They were not winning those games by the skin of their teeth. They actually went out and played football, and they got to a Super Bowl. Okay, now what happened in the Super Bowl, different story. But again, people need to understand and they need to respect this damn team. If you're going to be on that bandwagon where you're going to say that the Broncos are only won these games because they're fraudulent or what have you, then hey, feel free to hit me up and let's have a conversation about it.
So, for the millions and millions of fans that think the Broncos are frauds, it doesn't matter what you think. It's because the Broncos are doing it. And at a certain point, you have to go out here and remember that a win is a win. It doesn't matter what it is. And they're winning. Bottom line, it's like what you were just saying with KC last year. You know, they were winning with these little wins here and there. Yes, the Broncos might have a record with the most amount of wins with one possession itself. But you know what? They're doing it. And at a certain point, you're going to have to figure this out right now and say, you know what? This team is for real. But again, I'm going to go back to it. Keep on thinking that this team is a fraud, because that is when you come in here and you think that you're going to come in here and beat us or do whatever. But guess what? The Broncos come out, they do what they need to do to win the game. It might not look pretty, but you know what? Like it's been said before, defense wins championships. I said it before. I'm saying it again. Just look at the 2015 season. We were the same way. The Broncos had a better defense that year, and they took us to the championship and won it for us. Our offense wasn't that good. We had the best offense in 2013. We went to the Super Bowl, and guess what? We got beat by a defensive team. But this year, again, look at it again. This team is there. So the way I look at it, I don't care what you think about my team. All we do is win. And that's what we're doing right now. So come hate us, think that we're frauds. Continue to think that we're frauds, because guess what? We're coming home with the victory every single weekend. 9 in a row. What can you say?
Exactly. And before we go forward, let's say hi to some of the friends here we have in the chat. Shy Vargas, of course, saying, how about them Broncos? That's exactly
What's
right.
What's up, Shy?
How you doing, brother? Juan Marquez saying, what's up, Broncos country? That 10-2 is so nice.
Yes, sir. Ya tú sabes.
Indeed it is, Juan. Thank you so much for being here and showing your support. The Dream Weaver, Jay Weaver, says, gentlemen, hope you had an amazing holiday. Do you think the addition of Elijah Moore changes anything for the target distribution of this offense? And we will get to your question in just a little bit. Just going to continue reading some of the chat here so we don't miss out on any comments. Juan Marquez saying, let's talk about Bo Nix. Yes, one bad pick. Other than that, he played outstanding. I don't know who that guy is.
I don't know who that is either.
Then Broncos trying to give me a heart attack. And then Tim Dog saying, "What's up, fellas? Tim Dog, what is going on,
Tim
brother?
Dog, my
High
brother
salute
from
to you,
another. What's
brother."
up, bro?
But going back to this question, Libre, and I'll let you go first. Do you think the addition of Elijah Moore changes anything for the target distribution of this offense?
For me, as of right now, it that's hard to say. I think because I think really what's really going to be affecting is going to be because of Pat Bryant, the way he's been coming in right now. Marvin Mims, like he's just our special team god player right now. The only other person is going to be Troy Franklin. I think that's going to be affecting him a little bit more than anybody else. And again, I think with Sutton, if he has to continue to be the number one, but if Elijah Moore is going to come in and actually make some catches, like yes, that's going to be the main factor itself. But not for Sutton. I don't think it's going to be for Mims that is in there here and there. I think Pat Bryant's starting to actually excel right now. But like I said, Troy Franklin, I think is going to be the bigger one that's going to be maybe missing out on some of these passes itself that they're going to be going out and going to Elijah Moore as opposed to him. That's just my take on it right now.
To answer your question, Jay, I believe that the signing of Elijah Moore is more of like just a insurance just to kind of have, because right now the worst thing for any football team, and we're starting to see it around the league, Libre, is injuries.
Yep.
And this is not the time to be putting players on IR. So especially whether your team is playoff bound or you're fighting for a spot, unless you're like dead out and you're just like you're getting a jump start on preseason for next year, then injuries really it doesn't matter. But for the Broncos, I believe that adding Elijah Moore is just something for them to kind of, they might use him, I would believe, if they do elevate him, just to kind of, it'll take him some time to get used to the Sean Payton offense and the way things work in Denver. Now, I will say one thing that's interesting about Elijah Moore, and I don't know if you remember this, Libre, but him and Jerry Jeudy were put on work on the Broncos last year when they played Jameis Winston and the Browns. So it'll be interesting to see if Elijah does stick around. I don't know how long he's going to be on the practice squad, because the longer he's there, the easier he can be plucked by another team. But it'll be, I don't have anything against it. If Sean can find a way to put him in there and, have a meaning, make their offense better, then I'm all for it. I honestly thought that maybe the Broncos would try to make a run for Adam Thielen when him getting released, but he got picked up by the Steelers. So good luck to him on that regard.
No, absolutely. I said it. We can't, I'm actually excited for it. Like I said earlier as well, this is just like really an insurance policy. We're not bringing him on the practice squad just so that he could stay there. He's going to see some action. And I feel like he might see some action this weekend. And the big question is, who are we then not going to suit up? That's going to be the next big question. Who's going to be that one player
now? You know what? And not to get too off topic here, Libre, but I will say, and I actually wanted to start off with this point, and I want to talk about it before I forget, because I'm an old man now. So we have to talk about the defense last week. Libre, you and I were talking a little bit before the show, and I was telling you that I was not expecting that game to go the way it did. I would expect the Broncos, the only team that I do remember, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the only other team that gave the Broncos defense that much of a hard time were the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
But that's only because they had no idea, really. They had no tape on Jackson Dart. They weren't studying to play Jackson Dart. Everybody thought it was going to be Russell Wilson. And then Dart came in there, and him and Scatterbo and all those guys came, and they almost pulled the rug over the Broncos in that game. But the defense came around, the offense turned it around, and, that's in the history books. But I thought that the Broncos defense would learn from that game. And this time around, there were no injuries. Everybody was healthy. We got Pat Surtain back. And after that Drake Greenlaw interception, I thought that the Broncos were going to be in the driver's seat the entire time. But there were so many mistakes from the defense that it's kind of like, you know, I will say, as much as I love Hufanga when he dives in, sometimes his speed works against him because I can think of 2 times where he came in like a missile, but because he was coming in so fast, he missed the tackles. So that's one of the things. Riley Moss, even though he didn't get flagged for anything in this game, I mean that OBJ like catch over him is probably going to haunt him for the remainder of his career. And him giving that route to Deebo Samuel, I'm sorry, but that was just embarrassing. Like how do you let that happen?
To a point, I'm going to say that they were out there for a very long time. They had like 60 plus plays for the game itself. So to be out there that much as well, that's just also a contributing factor that our offense needs to be able to say, control the ball and actually put some drives together. I was surprised in overtime that the Commanders actually decided to kick the ball to the Broncos because they did. And I'm just glad that we went down there, and it just shows to prove that this Broncos offense, when they're ready, that it's clutch time, that they can go out there and actually put a drive together and put points on the board quick. And we've proven it already this year. But because they got cocky, they thought they were going to, they still ran the ball. They were already out there for 18 play drive right before halftime or right before overtime. And they decided to kick off. You already have that defense tired. Why don't you just go out there and just run it down the field and get a touchdown right away, which, ultimately they did. And just glad that Bonito still had some good hops onto him and to be able to knock that down. But that's another concerning thing, is that this defense got exposed, and because they got tired. You could see that throughout the whole thing. They got ran up on, giving up big plays. Granted, there's times we were talking backstage as well, especially that overtime touchdown, there was a pick play, a clear pick play that the Commanders did that wasn't called. And then a clear pick play that they did again on the 2-point conversion that we got lucky that they didn't convert it. But part of it is our offense needs to take care of the ball as well on the offensive side and hold it, because our defense itself did get tired in this game.
I will say that field did our defense no favors, because if you look and you see how many times Jonathan Cooper and Nick Bonito were on the ground because their low bending to the ground technique was not working, because they literally just kept sliding, oh man, it was tough to see.
Well, I also heard during the broadcast itself, that was more of a newer sod too. So it didn't have time for the roots to actually get in there. That if you looked at the field, that's what happened. There was just sliding because there was really nothing for it to grab onto.
Yeah.
That's why the turf kept on coming up.
Yeah, it was like you couldn't tell for a couple of times. You couldn't tell if they were playing in cleats or their own personal shoes that they arrived in the arena with.
Yeah.
But I will say that again, the defense did give up a lot of yards in this game. They had their bad moments, but at the end of the day, they were able to get the victory and leave Washington, even if it wasn't overtime, with a win. Now, switching the gears over to offense, Libre, the only mistake that I will criticize Bo Nix for is throwing that interception to Bobby Wagner. And Bobby Wagner was just sitting there. He wasn't trying to fool anybody. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, what were you looking at, Bo? And I mean, that hurt. If it would have been anybody else, it'd have been like, oh, okay, well, guy cut in or underthrown or batted or whatever, but he literally just threw it to Bobby Wagner. So I know that made a couple of the highlights around the social media, but again, Bo picked himself off from that. He didn't let it get to him, and he had that beautiful pass to Evan Ingram in the overtime segment. And see, that's what made this game a whole lot interesting, Libre, is that both defenses were gassed out. And it was just a matter of which offense goes and makes the first mistake. And apparently, well, obviously, it was Washington. But I will say on that, the ref calls in this game for either side were very, very like head scratching, because in that fourth quarter, you couldn't obviously tell. It almost made it look like the refs were trying to hand the Broncos the win.
In a way, it did. Yeah.
And I was just like, you guys are making it too obvious. Like, throw a flag at least or something, But it was just kind of like on that what was it, the McLaurin touchdown where that should have been pass interference on the offense, because the runner ran into both Broncos players and he ran into Sutton, and Sutton wasn't able to keep up with McLaurin. So it wasn't called. Okay. The headbutt to Bo Nix, that should have been called. Wasn't called. Okay. So I was like, all right, that's how they're going to play. They're going to call some. They're not going to call the others. Fine. Go for it. But in the end, Libre, and we'll get to your cousin's. Actually, no, let's do that now. Where he says, let's also give Evan Ingram his flowers. He had his best game as a Bronco. Indeed, he did. Finally playing the Joker card that we've been waiting to see for the last, what's it been, 12 weeks, Libre? Yeah, right, because he had a bye week. Yeah, 12. So hopefully he can continue to be playing like that, because that one pass where he literally ran down the middle, I mean...
One thing that I just still have to say, though, is like there was even like in the game itself, Bo Nix just missed him. Like, he's wide open and he's just like shorthanding him those passes. And I don't know if it's like the first quarter jitters that he has because it was on the run and he was wide open and he just threw him short and it just fell right in front of him. So if Bo can correct that, and this is just going back several games too with Evan Ingram, with him being wide open and all that. If we can continue that for the last 5 games of the season, this team is going to be scary good, especially with Evan Ingram, the Joker. Even they said it even on the Sunday night broadcast, like he's the Joker. This is the Joker that they brought in. He's the quote unquote Joker of the team. So if you could see, look how good he is. If Bo can get him the ball, it's going to be a scary team, and it's going to open up Cortland Sutton. It's going to open up Troy Franklin. It's going to open up Elijah Moore. It's going to open up these guys to be more, because now they're going to be worried about Evan Ingram, and they're going to go one-on-one. And then if we can get one-on-one with Sutton on the outside, it's going to be over for these guys.
Yeah, but I will say, though, Libre, and I'm probably going to catch heat for this, but I still think that the Broncos should have probably made a move for a wide receiver before the deadline. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, love what Sutton can do, love what Franklin can do, Pat Bryant and Evan Ingram and all those guys. But if they would have just took a gamble with somebody that could literally split the field or take their best player with them, I feel that would have helped the Broncos offense a whole lot more.
And I think they tried, like with Waddle. They tried with other teams as well. But the asking price, you have to remember as well. You have to think about the asking price. Is it too much? Is it even going to be worth it for our team? Giving up type of equity going forward with draft picks and doing all that stuff. So, yes, I'm going to give you a hard time with it, because you just can't make a move just to make a move just because you feel like that's what is needed. You have to look at the whole grand aspect of it. And of course, I look at it that way because I look at football as a business as well, and I look at it differently. Not only that, me as a fan want certain aspects of it to happen, but I'm also looking, all right, what do we need to do for our future as well? Like, we can't just give up the farm for the future for just something right now. And I feel that's some teams do that, and that it just hurts them. So, and I don't want that to do that. I want us to be able to be like the next decade, be the team where we're the AFC West champs every single year. We're in the AFC Championship game, So that's something that I feel like they're doing right now. George Payton, fantastic year that he has. I would not be surprised if he doesn't win GM of the year. I hope that he does, because what he's been able to do this offseason is awesome. And and again, like you're talking about getting a wide receiver. We picked up Elijah Moore. He happened to be released, and look, we just got a wide receiver who's a veteran guy who's out there who's going to be good. Thielen, I don't know. I think there was a lot of issues with him there in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was because of J.J. McCarthy or if it was that new undrafted rookie that they had that started this last week or whatever. But I don't think there's other things that I think are going with him as well. And I'd rather have Elijah Moore over Thielen as well because I see a higher cap here for him here, and I think Thielen would be more of a diva than anything else.
Antonio Acosta, thank you so much for tuning in.
Bronco
support you. He says top end receivers would not fit under our salary cap.
Correct.
Which is probably true, Antonio. But if I've learned anything from the Kansas City Chiefs is that apparently you can move money around if you really wanted to. So
you could. The Broncos done it in the past,
And I'm not talking. And I'm not talking about going like getting a Malik Neighbors or a Justin Jefferson or what's it called? Jamar Chase. Because obviously those guys they're commanding a crap ton of money for their respective teams, and rightfully so. But I don't know. Like, I just want this team, this offense, to finally start getting the hang of it, because we're tired of seeing as Broncos fans the punt, the fact that there's more punts than trips to the red zone, and the turnovers. Basically, what I'm trying to say is if we can stop asking the defense to kind of bail out the offense more times than not, if we can have it more like the Cowboys game per se, where it's like, yeah, they put up 44 points and the Broncos defense, all they did was shut down their two best receivers, which is the only defense, by the way, Libre, that has been able to do so, because every team so far that has played against those two have been either carved up or felt the mercy of George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. And the Broncos defense has been the only one to have both of those guys sitting down on the bench looking lost as hell.
The best part of what you just said there, I had the best seat in the house to watch it on that game because I was on the 50-yard line, Cowboys side, and being able to see CeeDee Lamb sit there literally about 15, 20 yards away from where I was actually sitting and just like pouting, like crying. Like you could just see them crying, the little tears. I don't know if it was sweat or tears. I call it tears. But just being able to see that up close and personal was one of the best things itself, because like you said, teams haven't done that, and we were able to do that against both of them.
Yeah, basically taking them for a ride. Antonio comes in saying we need a running back more. RJ's not a primary running back, and McLaughlin has not taken off yet. Well, unfortunately for the Broncos, they were not expecting on losing out on J.K. Dobbins. So his injury was unfortunate. He was starting to have a really, really good season. Although I will say losing Ben Powers kind of hurt his numbers in terms of fantasy-wise. But it didn't shut him out completely. All we were waiting for was we were just waiting for Ben Powers to get cleared and come back. And I'm pretty sure when Ben Powers does come back, Libre, that the running game is definitely going to be back to kind of what it was in the beginning of the season, I would say, just for the simple fact that, Ben Powers is really good at what he does.
Absolutely. And RJ Harvey's going to be able to benefit from that. Mm-hmm. And yes, but I agree with Antonio though. I do agree with him that our running game does need to be upgraded by so much more, because as of right now, and it is because of Ben Powers, and it's possibly because it is Ben Powers itself, and that's that guard that we need to be able to pull and do all that. Yes, mm-hmm. The guys that are in there now are serviceable, but they're not the elite guard that Ben Powers was. So, and once you have that elite guard or the elite line that we had at the beginning of the season, trust me that these guys are going to be doing a lot better. But that is a big factor as to why these guys can't, or we as a team can't get in there and actually start off and be more productive on the offensive side, on the running game itself. And that's something that we need to dig deep, like during this offseason. Do we go back and re-sign JK? which I feel that we do. He loved it here at the beginning of the season. He said it. This is a fit for him. So hopefully we're able to go back in and get him back in for next year, because that'd only be a blessing in disguise for us, and we're going to be a dangerous running team next year as well.
I agree. But since we're talking about players, Libre, one topic that's been kind of going around in Broncos country is the fact that a lot of Broncos players are starting to receive their contract extensions for playing in the future. And there's only one player who hasn't gotten one yet, and that's John Franklin Myers. And there's been a lot of speculation. I know they've asked him directly about what he thinks, whether he wonders if the team's going to reach out and give him a contract extension for next year, or how he feels at the fact that everybody but him has gotten one. I will say, I think that the Broncos are not going to give him one, just for the simple, and I only say this because I have a feeling that Vance Joseph, especially the further the Broncos go, the more and this is just a hot take. It's not a true statement, but I have a feeling that Vance Joseph is going to leave Denver next year. There's a lot of teams that are already looking for coaches like him. They don't really care what his time was here when he was a head coach in Denver. They're willing to take the risk with him starting over with another team. So some players are just kind of like that. A part of me thinks that he'll probably go with wherever Vance Joseph goes if he does leave. Another part of me thinks that maybe Vance Joseph or somebody on there seeing something where they can either there's somebody playing better than JFM, or maybe they don't want to pay JFM that much type of money. Maybe he's demanding too much money behind the scenes, because a lot of players use their agents and stuff, and that they'd rather take their chances trying to find somebody either in the draft or in free agency next year. So there's a lot of variables going into it, but either way, I think I'm okay with whichever way the Broncos decide to go. If they decide to keep him, great. Hopefully it's not a ton of money that breaks the bank, and hopefully it's not where he regresses and it's like, well, paying you a ton of money and you're not playing anywhere when you first got here type of thing.
I agree. They actually see something and again, we don't see the insides of the locker room, what's happening behind the scenes and all that. But I do agree with that. They are seeing that, that he's not the player they thought he was going to be here for us. That's why he didn't get the extension last year. He's not getting it this year. There has been a lot of talks with Joseph being gone next year, taking a head coaching job. Earlier this week, they had on Altitude Sports Radio, they were talking to Adam Schefter, talking about, they asked him how many coaching positions are they going to be available next year. And he already said, he goes, there's going to be anywhere from about 5 to 6 coaching. It's like the same thing every year. We already have a couple that are going to be up, that are already up right now. But at the end of the season, there's going to be close to 5 or 6 more that's going to be becoming available. And they did talk about Vance Joseph, like he's a hot commodity, and that's the thing that that you're doing well, is that your defense or offensive coordinator is being talked about, and of course that's the next level for them. I feel like with Vance Joseph, he's done that. He's did it here. It might have not been the perfect scenario when he was the head coach here, but being selfish, like how I said, like I'd rather have him here. I think he is a better defensive coordinator than being the main guy. And that's just certain people. They're just better coordinators than they are being the main guy on a team. And we'll look at McDummy. McDummy's the biggest one. Josh McDaniels, if nobody knows who that is, McDummy. He led us here. He got fired a little over a year. He did it with the Raiders. 10 years later, he went to the Raiders and again was fired right away. So, and he's just a better offensive coordinator. I don't think he'll ever go back to being a head coach unless something happens, say 10 years from now, and something changes or whatever the case may be. But I'd rather think that we can keep Vance Joseph here for a lot longer.
I will say, and this is just my opinion, we already know of 2 vacancies, obviously, the Titans and the Giants. Only 2 teams so far that have fired their head coaches, and they're working with interim coaches. But 3 other teams that I feel are going to fire their head coach by Black Monday are the Arizona Cardinals, Jonathan Gannon, because I believe that Arizona had high expectations for him, grabbing him from when the Eagles won their first Super Bowl. And so far, the Cardinals have been mediocre, maybe less than that since then. And, they they let Vance Joseph go, and then they didn't bother signing Zach Allen, and he came to Denver, and he's been a beast for us so far. Mm-hmm. So I believe that Jonathan Gannon is on his last leg out there. My other one would probably be Kevin Stefanski, because the Browns are just a mess right now. Their quarterback, the carousel of quarterbacks, has just no end. I heard that supposedly Deshaun Watson is practicing this week. Probably not to suit up this week. They're saying that he maybe could play when they play the Broncos, but who knows? Could be him. It could be Shador. I don't know what Dylan Gabriel's status is currently, but that whole offense is just a disaster. And then my final team would probably be Raheem Moore from the Falcons, just for the simple fact, Libre, that they really went out on a limb, and all the money they spent on getting Cousins, the risk that they took on getting Michael Penix after already acquiring Cousins, and neither one of those guys have been anywhere near what they should be. And I don't know. I feel like Raheem Moore is probably on his way out on that team as well. So Vance Joseph is definitely going to get a lot of calls, and he's going to get a lot of interviews. And in the end, it'll be up to him to say, hey, does he really want to take another chance with another football team? Either one of those teams, if he does go, he's going to have to build from the ground up type of thing. It's not like it's going to be like when he came to Denver, where he kind of had a couple players here and there, so he had some options. Or does he want to stay? And if the Broncos don't make it to the Super Bowl, and if they don't win the big game, but they get close, does he want to stick around for one more year and say, hey, we can do it. We just got to tweak a couple things, and we will be back at the big dance next year.
No, I agree. It's, you said it all right there. But some of these coaches, it's just really going to come down to, what are the teams really looking for? Have they done anything? What have they done? And this league is, what have you done for me lately? Because they can care less about anything else. You could have won the Super Bowl 3 years ago, but what have you done for me lately? And that's really what it comes down to. And Casey could be one of those factors as well. I've also heard, during this last game for Pittsburgh, they were saying, fire Tomlin. They're like, fire Tomlin. The fans were chanting that out. We're firing because of that loss. They were literally chanting that. And you have to remember, he has been one of the most successful coaches in the league. His whole tenure, the last 18 years, this is his 19th year this year, but the 18 years that he has been there, he has not had a single losing record there. He's had maybe an 8-8, something like that, before they added that seventh, that extra game to be where it's 9-8 or whatever the case may be. But he's never had an actual losing season. This is probably going to be the first year that he has a losing season there, and they're ready. Because they're not used to losing like that, they are ready to move on. And I've actually said this over the last couple of years too. I was like, how many more years does Tomlin have? He's been there for so long. What has he done? And it's really, what have you done for me lately? You've stayed having a winning record or being 8-8 or whatever the case may be, but we haven't been to the Super Bowl in how many years? That's something that they may have to look into that as well.
Fun fact about the Steelers defense, they have the most expensive defense in the league, which means they have the most players who make the most. That entire defense is the most expensive defense in the league. And when you look at their record, you'd figure that they should be undefeated. Whether the offense is struggling or not, that's the defense that you want, especially when the Steelers organization is paying them top dollar and they go out and lose games that they're supposed to win and win games that they're supposed to lose type of scene. But Libre, let's get to this week's game, which is round 2 against the Las Vegas Raiders. And you're probably going to hear me say this for the rest of our lives. I told you so, Libre. I told you that the Raiders with Pete Carroll were going to go absolutely nowhere. And since their game with the Broncos, they have only gotten worse. This past weekend, they played against the Chargers, and their only highlight was 2 touchdowns to Brock Bowers. That was it. And they lost that game. They tried to make Chip Kelly the fall guy by firing him. Did you know that Chip Kelly was the highest paid offensive coordinator?
No, I actually didn't know that.
Yes, he was. And I don't know where I read. I think it was on NFL.com, but one of the guys made a remark. They're like, Pete Carroll's starting to run out of assistants to fire. So how long until they finally realize that it's him that's the problem? And I think one of the things that, and this is just speculation, Libre, but I think one of the things that most teams try to avoid, especially owners try to avoid doing, is firing coaches in their first year because it looks bad for everybody. They tried to be like, oh, well, it's a Cinderella year. Let's see what you can do with a couple of draft picks, try to free up some money in the books and, give it another go. But there have been teams that have been, flashing the pans. Looking at you, Nathaniel Hackett, you son of a gun.
You have to know, like, you could tell, like, you want to give them a chance, like, especially those first-time head coaches, like Nathaniel Hackett, like when we got just Josh McDaniels at that time. You have to give them some type of a leeway as well. It's the first time. But again, you have a short leash on these guys anyways, especially especially our ownership group right now. Like you could see that they don't care about spending money. Like they'll say, if you're not doing it for us, you're gone. It doesn't matter. So I think with some of these owners that are starting to come through and saying, you know what, if you're not up to our expectations, or if you're not doing what we're asking you to do, then yes, it is time for you to go. And you have to produce like right away. And that's the scenario of the game today, is like you have to produce right away. And if you're not, they're going to go to the next person. Let's see if that next person is going to be able to do it.
Well, the reason that this game is a big game for the Broncos, Libre, is that currently the New England Patriots are ahead of us because they have one win over us. And but they
have a bye week this week. Yeah,
they have a bye week this week, correct? And the Patriots also lost to the Raiders in week 1. So with the Broncos going in there and sweeping the Raiders, they take control of that AFC seed, because when it comes down to common tiebreakers, the Broncos are going to own that so long as they can keep stride with the Patriots, because obviously the Broncos will have swept the Raiders, but that one loss to the from the New England to the Raiders is going to hurt. It's going to keep New England from surpassing us as long as the records are tied. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys, because I had to see that video twice. what they were
I had the same exact conversation with one of my coworkers today, because he's a Patriots fan and all that. And I said, you know what? Like, the only saving grace that I have right now is that you guys lost to the Raiders week 1 of the season. I go, and we're going to sweep them this week. And even if we finish the season, 15-2, what doesn't matter what the record is between us both, that AFC Championship game is coming through the Mile High City. And you know what has happened in the playoffs that New England has never done? They've never beat the Denver Broncos here in Mile High in the playoffs. So you better yet bet that is a huge advantage that we have right now, that if we can get that, and that tiebreaker right there, doesn't matter. The Patriots have to come here to Denver, and they know that they don't want to come here because they're talking about the altitude, the fans that are here. Like, that's going to be, it's a hard place to play at in the playoffs here in January. And trust me, we will make it loud and proud.
I will say, Libre, that I believe that this game is not going to be what we saw 3 weeks ago on Thursday Night Football.
I agree.
It is not going to be, well, first of all, because it's going to be indoors. So they're not going to have to worry about the whole cold weather, wind.
Well, it's in Vegas, so it doesn't matter.
So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It'll be indoors. So that's not going to be a thing. But I believe that the Broncos are definitely going back to the drawing board in terms of, hey, let's see what we did wrong in that game, and let's fix it. And obviously the defense has definitely got to play better than what we saw from last week against Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And the Raiders are not the same team that they were a couple of weeks ago. Their best player is obviously Brock Bowers, and I believe the defense will do what they have to do to keep him from being a threat. I'm not worried about Genty. I was so wrong about him, and I'll leave Crow on that. And Geno Smith, I was right about Geno Smith, though. About that whole running back thing is like
there's a meme going out, and this is just even after him saying blame himself for everything and all that, but like it's saying that there was a hit and run and Geno Smith is got hit, and there was a hit and run on Geno Smith, and then you just see this driveway and it's just from a security camera, and then you just see this trash can just flying through the screen itself. And it's just hilarious. It's like Geno Smith got hit again, and it's just so funny. If I can find it again, I'll send it to you. So, but it's just hilarious. And I'm like, I go, that makes sense because Geno Smith is trash.
And somebody asked me the other day, like, what do you have? Like, why do you hate Geno Smith so much? Is it because he's a Raider? And I was like, no, it's not because he's a Raider. Like, well, obviously, I hate all the Raiders and Chiefs and Chargers fans just like they hate us. It's
right.
It goes with the territory of being a Broncos fan. But my displeasure with Geno Smith goes back to that whole, I never wrote back thing, because that year with Seattle, he was acting like he was the greatest thing that ever happened to football. Like Russell Wilson never existed.
Right.
Thing. And I was just like, yeah, you had one good season. I'll give you that. But it wasn't like, hey, we're going to the Super Bowl and we're going to win the whole thing. Because what has he done since then besides be completely irrelevant? And I'm not talking about being the last pick in the draft, And to me, that's just like a giant dose of karma for him, because it was definitely not, and it blew up all over social media and the news too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, Geno Smith is back. He's gonna win 2-3 rings for Seattle, and he's gonna go into the Hall of Fame one day. And like, these are the conversations people were actually having, Libre, that year. And I was just like, hey, everybody, calm your horses. It is not that serious. He found some luck with Seattle. But until he goes and wins championships, then I'll admit I was wrong. And thank God he didn't do that. And him coming to Vegas, we talked about it earlier this year, Libre, when we were on this very show. And I told you, Geno Smith, they were better off sticking with Garoppolo or Aiden O'Connell. Like those guys at least knew what was going on. But the problem with the Raiders, Libre, is that they keep changing guards so many times. They've changed head coaches, they've changed coordinators, they're changing quarterbacks. Like, until they get something consistent going and they stop spending their money on stupid crap. I'm not saying I hope it happens because I love watching them suffer, but until they learn from their mistakes like the Broncos did, then maybe they can start to turn the ship around and be a threat to the AFC West. But until then, Broncos are running the show, baby.
But just like you said, like, yes, something has to change. And where does the change have to start? At the top. And it's Mark Davis. Yeah. And he's the one with his ugly ass haircut, his bowl haircut every single time I see him. But that's where it has to start. And he's the one that's creating this issue there, and if they want to correct it, he may not have to sell the team so that they can be able to do anything. But as long as he's running the team, the Raiders are going to do Raider things. It's just funny because talking about seeing all these different videos, I see these super fans, the Raider super fans, talking about, oh man, I got a flat tire. I blame Geno Smith.
Oh,
my car won't start. I'm blaming Geno Smith. My girl cheated on me. I blame
Geno
Geno Smith,
Smith.
and it's just funny. It's just like, and these are the super fans, that are out there putting these videos together, and it's just hilarious because they know that their team sucks right now, and they can't rag on any other team right now, so they have to rag on themselves. They have to do that. But the funny thing is, like, they're making funny content, which is super hilarious. But I can't wait this Sunday. I feel like it's not even going to be a close game because this team, you could already see the team itself, even with Max Crosby. If you go out there and see some of these videos over the last several weeks, Max Crosby looks like he's checked out as well. Like he's like, why am I here? I should have got traded. I should have went and got traded at the trade deadline. I should have went somewhere. But the problem is, like, he loves the Raiders so much. Like, that's just crazy on how much he loves them. It's just like Von Miller. Von Miller loves the Broncos so much, and he wants to just stay there. But there's a point that you're no longer useful there anymore. Go out there and be, if you want to. I think I go back to Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett was one of the best DNs right now in the league. He has 19 sacks or something like that, and he's on a crappy ass team. But he does not doing it for the Super Bowl, because he could have went anywhere during this offseason and try to go win a Super Bowl. But he decided to stay there. But he's one of the best, and he's proven it is right now. And the reason why he got paid there in Cleveland is it's on showcase right now. But I can't wait for this weekend. We're going to destroy him. It's not going to be a close game. It's just going to show that how bad their defense really is. Their offense might be might do a little something here or there against us. It's only because we don't know how to defend against the tight end. So with that being said, like, Bowers might have a good game against us, but our defense is going to be able to hold it up, but our offense is going to be able to put some points up on the board this weekend, and it's not going to be close. Have
you ever been to Allegiant Stadium, Lieber?
I have not yet. Because
it is so much Raider stuff all over the place. I didn't even want to sit down.
That's why I have to take like a seat cover or something, like a towel, Bronco orange and blue. But the reason why I haven't been yet is because I have been looking over the last several years, and like ticket prices, just because it's a destination, it's no longer like this Bronco game this Sunday is not a Raiders home game. You're going to see so much orange in that stands. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be another Broncos home game. I already feel it. It's just because now that, and I've said this since they first decided to move to Vegas, that it's going to be a destination spot for all the other teams to come up and show up. And because your team is bad and all the season ticket holders are selling their tickets to the opposing fans, that's why you're losing that advantage there at Allegiant Stadium itself. It looks like it's a Roomba or whatever out there. But yeah, I haven't been there yet, just because I saw prices to go to games were like over $300. And I was like, man, I can't do that. Like, I can't see that. But I did actually see for this weekend, tickets were going for about 170, 180. Half tempted to go. Just because it's a quick flight from here from Denver, a 10-hour drive. I'm half tempted to go, but I don't know yet.
The only thing I remember, Libre, is I signed up for a sweepstakes to win free tickets and airfare to go see that game this weekend, and they haven't contacted me yet, so I'm going to go out on a limb and say I didn't win.
I'm the same way too, because I entered that same contest and I didn't win either.
Okay, so you know which one I'm talking about.
Yep.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Libre and I have reached the end of regulation, which means we are ready for some
overtime. Let's go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the overtime segment of today's show. If this is your first time here and you have no idea what the hell is going on, this is basically where Libre and I let down our hair figuratively and talk about anything that's going on in our lives. Normally is what we do during the off season, but during the regular season, we like to give out our picks for each of the other games on the roster this week. I will say that I'm disappointed in the chat because they did not send out their picks last week, so they did not get any points.
Zero.
So you guys are stuck at
Ooh,
112. So you're gonna have to climb up a mountain to
that's
try to
5
go to
weeks
first
to
place.
go, chat. 5 weeks to go.
I'm in second place with 123, and Libre leads the charge with 127 points.
Woo, woo.
And just like a Chargers fan, that's why he's in the lead.
You're welcome.
You double crosser. All right, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you get your picks in the chat. Otherwise, you're going to lose out on another week. But here we go. Dallas Cowboys Thursday night game. Kind of ironic that they get 2 Thursday night games in a row back to back.
I know. I was saying that same thing when I saw the advertisement for it. I was like,
Yeah.
what? Back-to-back weeks with Thursday night games? That's crazy.
Yeah. And then they were like, oh, it's a short week. And I'm like, not really. That's 7 days.
They had the full week.
Yeah, they had the full week. I don't know where they're getting a short week from. But anyways, the Dallas Cowboys at 6-5-1 hit the road and go to the Detroit Lions at 7-5. Me personally, I think that the Lions are almost in the same position they were last year defensively.
Mm-hmm.
They're just so hurt and beat up. And I don't know what's going on with Amon-Ra St. Brown, but if he does not play tomorrow, it is going to be really tough for the Lions to go toe-to-toe with the Cowboys because that Lions defense, I don't think is ready to deal with both Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. And this has the makings of them possibly getting picked apart by that much. Although I will say that Jahmyr Gibbs by himself is a wrecker, game wrecker, but I don't think that him just alone can do it. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the Cowboys win this one, Libre.
Just like he said, Amon St. Brown, he has not practiced since last Thursday when he sprained his ankle. I just saw a report today with Adam Schefter where it's a second day again without him practicing. So it's going to be probably a good bet that he may not play tomorrow because he didn't practice the last couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, I feel like, yeah, Gibbs is going to be good. He's going to get his points tomorrow. He's going to be fine. I have him on my fantasy team, so I'm excited for him to get all his points back again because the last couple of weeks he hasn't done much. But I think this Cowboys offense is going to be a little bit better, and they're going to put up more points. So I'm taking the Cowboys.
And chat says Cowboys as well. Then we move on to Sunday football. The Seattle Seahawks at 9-3, going on the road to take on the Atlanta Falcons at 4-8. My God, the what they did to the Vikings last week should have been illegal. They should have arrested the entire Seahawks team. But hey, that's just football. That's how it is. The Falcons, again, I think that I wouldn't be surprised if Raheem Moore gets fired before Black Monday, Libre, because they are hurting as well, more offensively than anything. They are literally burning money every single game with Kirk Cousins. And I personally think that they're going to try to move him in the offseason. They're going to find a team desperate enough to try to eat as much of his contract because obviously no team's going to want to eat the whole thing. But I don't know. I think that the Seahawks are definitely going to win this game because I don't see the Falcons doing it, even with Bijan Robinson playing the way he plays.
I agree. I feel like the Seahawks will win this. The Seahawks are actually doing very well this year, so I don't see them letting up against this team here.
Next, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers at 6-6, going on the road to take on the Baltimore Ravens, also 6-6. I will say it was very embarrassing for the Ravens to lose against Joe Burrow, who hasn't played football in 2 months. I would have thought that they would have taken advantage of it and gotten to him before he got the hang of things, and they had their asses handed to them by the Bengals. So that was embarrassing. I don't know what's going on with Baltimore, man. There was a couple when they played the Vikings. They looked like they were back. They looked like they were the world beaters that we knew them to be, and then they folded against the Bengals of all teams last week. So I can't trust them. I can't trust Pittsburgh either because I don't know what the hell's going on with Aaron Rodgers. That was a that Aaron Rodgers took from Joey Bosa last week.
You could tell, you could see how much pain he is with that broken wrist or broken hand that he has. I don't think like that's going to be. He's not going to be there. He's going to be thinking too much of his hand, thinking of too much. He's not going to be able to get the ball off in time. So for me, I think the Ravens are going to have a comeback game. I called it last week, and I when I sent you the message, our picks or my picks, and I knew that the Bengals were going to win that game just because of Joe Burrow. What a difference a quarterback can actually make, because this Bengals team is good. They just do not have a quarterback or a game manager to be able to get the ball to Jamar Chase or to T. Higgins, So once you have somebody that can do that, look what they can do. They're a scary team that might be getting that they might, if they can win out, that's possible that they can sneak into the playoffs.
Agreed. Next, we have the Tennessee Titans at 1-11.
Wait, so are you picking the Ravens or the Steelers?
Ravens.
Okay.
Yeah. Titans at 1-11 going on the road against the Cleveland Browns at 3-9. Now, the one subject that's been all over my TikTok page is people getting on Jerry Jeudy, because apparently he was shaming Shedeur Sanders on the sideline instead of, consoling him and, kind of being a teammate, and instead he was being a brat. And a lot of people did not appreciate that. They were like, hey, you're acting like a wide receiver one. And then they kept bringing up the fact that when they played the Raiders where he had that catch, and instead of running full speed to the end zone, he was kind of like just showing off, and then he got the ball knocked out. And
oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so they were kind of telling him, Jerry Jeudy, to stay in his lane and stop being such a douche. And I was like, yeesh.
Well, that's Jerry Jeudy for you, and that's the problem that's part of that team, and that's why he didn't succeed here, because he thought he was way better than what he actually is. He can't rely on what he did there in Alabama anymore. You're going against players that are not elite as what they are, that are in the NFL, and I feel like that he's seen that, and that's why he didn't work out here. And that's why he's not having a good time there in Cleveland either. But for me, I'm going to go with the Browns with this game myself, because the Titans are just that bad. And I think Shedeur is starting this week as well.
I'm on the fence on this one, Libre, just for the simple fact that both of these offenses are not good. But the Titans, they can't get if it wasn't for the Browns defense, I would pick Tennessee. But I think the Browns defense is going to be the reason they win that game. But it's definitely not going to be because of their offense. But I will say that, and we told everybody this last year, Libre, after the Broncos-Browns game, when everybody was hyping up Jeudy, and they were like, oh, yeah, Judy's the man now. And, it was Denver and all along. And I said, if he can do the same thing from now until his end with Cleveland, then I will eat crow. But it was one game, and it was against Levi Wallace, one of the worst cornerbacks the Broncos have ever had. And little by little, let it be known, 2-3 weeks, not even close to what he did here in Denver. So, yeah, be better, Jerry.
So you're picking the Browns?
Correctamundo. And chat says, well, chat hasn't said anything.
Oh, there's nothing made in about 5 seconds. We're going on and no pick.
Where's your cousin, eh?
Primo, where are you?
Browns or Titans, Juan?
We'll see what happens if they put it in there. We'll give them to the end of the show. There it is, the Brownies.
The Brownies? Oh, he was thinking about it. All right.
I think he was trying to do some research and doing the Bet 360 or something.
Shaking the magic 8-ball.
Right.
All right. We have the Indianapolis Colts at 8-4 going on the road to face the Jacksonville Jaguars, also 8-4. This is going to be a big, big division game, Libre. The Colts have fallen off a lot, and they do not look anywhere near the world beaters that they did when they had just one loss to their name. And losing against the Chiefs, they lost to the Texans last week. And then that loss to who else did they lose to? I know their first loss was against the Rams. I can't think of the other one. But the Colts are kind of playing with fire right now, Libre. And for the simple fact that I know that their hearts dropped when they saw Sauce Gardner go out with that injury, because what they gave up to get him, and Jets fans were probably laughing somewhere, and they're hoping that he can come back before the end of the regular season, especially if they need him to secure a playoff spot or whatnot. And Jacksonville is beat up too, but I don't think they're in the same situation as the Colts are. So I'm going to say that Jacksonville wins this game, Lieber. I think that they take it.
I agree with you as well. And I feel like with Daniel Jones playing with like a fractured leg, it's crazy to think like you have a fractured leg and you're being able to go out there and play an NFL game at this level. Just tells you his toughness, but I think it's hurting him being able to produce. And they're not that effective. And Jonathan Taylor has slipped off here the last couple of weeks as well. So, and I think the Jaguars are going to take full advantage of this, and they are going to win.
Agreed. Next, we have Washington Commanders at 3-9 going on the road to play the Minnesota Vikings at 4-8. Oh man, it feels like it doesn't matter who Minnesota puts behind that offensive line. They're having a bad day at the office, man. And if it wasn't for that Vikings defense and Brian Flores, they would not have 4 wins. They'd be like up there with Tennessee with probably just like 1. And Jaden Daniels is slated to start this week. So I don't know if this is the game I want to start him with, because the Minnesota Vikings defense is tough. If it wasn't for their offense, they more likely win that game, because they were getting to Sam Darnold last week. So they did their job. It's just that their offense couldn't. But if the Commanders can play like they played against the Broncos, one of the best, better defenses in the league, offensively, whether it's Jaden Daniels or Mariota and Terry McLaurin, I'm looking right at you, man. You cost me a fantasy season, so if you can go out and put 22 points like you did on my Broncos, I'd appreciate it, even though it doesn't matter anymore. But I'm going to say Commanders win this one.
Same. Dang, we all have the same. What the heck? That's okay. You guys are still behind me. It's okay.
Bandwagon. Next, we have Miami at 5-7. Hitting the road against the New York Jets at 3-9. And the Jets have they're like on a 2-game winning streak, I think. But the Dolphins, I mean, what can you say about Devon Achane? That guy's been playing lights out football, bro. And the Dolphins defense almost gave up that game against the Saints last week. And the Jets took advantage of a Atlanta Falcons team who can't get out of their own way, just like the Jets. But I think this is the game where they come crashing back to earth. So I'm going to say Miami wins that game.
I agree 100%. Miami, I think, is just a better team. And again, it's still a divisional game itself, but Miami is, I think, a little bit better team.
Next, we have the Saints at 2-10 going on the road to face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 7-5. A lot of division games this week, Libre. We got another one here. The Buccaneers are still kind of licking their wounds in terms of trying to get better, and the Saints are, I mean, they got nothing to lose. They're already eliminated from playoff contention, so I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing a lot of crazy stuff from their playbook. And I don't think Kellen Moore's job is in any type of trouble. But I will say that they're going to look to him to make some big changes going into next year. And obviously Tyler So is not the answer for the Saints. But even with that, I'm going to say that the Bucs win this game, just for the simple fact that Bucky Irving came back and he looked like he hasn't missed a step. And that guy is going to be dangerous.
Mbuka, he's going to get it. He's going to get all 3 touchdowns from Baker.
Bucs.
The Bucs, yep.
Bucs. Next, we have the Cincinnati Bengals at 4-8 going on the road to face the Buffalo Bills at 8-4. Let me just say, I still think that bringing back Joe Burrow was not the right thing to do, because even if the Bengals win out, they still need a lot of help
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they're almost in the same situation they were last year, except it's harder this year than last year because their defense is worse than it was last year. And Joe Burrow is just one more sack away from being injured way into 2026. So I mean, I don't know. Buffalo has been really hard to pick because the games that they're supposed to win, they lose, and the games they're supposed to lose, they win, type of thing. But it's kind of hard because Joe Burrow, I thought was going to take like at least 2 games for him to get back into shape, but he did it all in one, and he embarrassed the hell out of the Ravens, like we talked about earlier. So I'm going to say that the Bengals win this one, Libre.
Wow. I'm going to go with the Bills. Ooh. The Bills are at home. It's a hard place to play at. And I think that, Josh Allen is going to have a comeback game against these guys.
Next, we have the Chicago Bears at 9-3 going on the road against the Green Bay Packers at 8-3-1. The Bears are on a winning streak of their own, Libre, and they're currently in control of the NFC's.
So what's crazy is that both conferences are almost being ran by the orange and blue. Be crazy to have an all orange and blue Super Bowl. It's been mentioned.
Madre.
It's been mentioned several times, I've heard.
I have heard from my Bears friends here. They're like, hey, could you imagine Bears and Broncos Super Bowl? I'm like, you guys wouldn't get me to shut up once we pick their ass. And we just been talking fantasy smack for the last couple of weeks, but I'm like, hey, fingers crossed, man. But I mean, that the Bears, their running game is really good. I got to give them credit. DeAndre Swift and Kyle, I think his name's Kyle Monangai, have been really, really great at the point of attack. Their defense has been not getting completely clapped out. And Caleb Williams has struggled a bit in terms of, offense and throwing the ball, but he's done just enough to win games. Now, this game against the Packers, though, I have a feeling that Micah Parsons is going to make his presence felt. And one of the things that's hard for any division team to do on the road is win on the road. So, but I think I'm going to give it to the Packers on this one.
The Bears.
Ooh. Libre showing his true colors. Bears.
Orange and blue, you're right.
Go get them, Micah. Next, we have the LA Rams at 9-3 going on the road to face the Arizona Cardinals at 3-9. I don't know what the hell got into the Rams last week, but them losing to Carolina and Matt Stafford finally looking like the Matt Stafford I had in my head back at my fantasy draft scares me because Matt Stafford was playing like the future MVP this year, and then he came crashing down to earth. That entire team came crashing down to earth against Carolina. But Arizona is not Carolina. They've officially been eliminated from playoff contention after losing last week. And I think this is going to be a game that the Rams get right back into everybody's good graces. And they're going to try to take the 1 seed away from the Bears. So I'm going to say the Rams win this game.
So I understand what you say about this letdown against these Panthers that they had. And the Panthers actually are a pretty good, decent team. And for them to be able to do that against the Rams and to actually to shut them down like the way that they did, that just shows on how well coached they are. But like how you said, the Rams are going to have a bounce back game. Arizona's not that good. So I see the Rams destroying the Cardinals.
And then Sunday Night Football, we have Houston Texans at 7-5 going on the road to face the Kansas City Chiefs at 6-6. Now, one of the things that made my Thanksgiving dinner, well, we don't eat turkey in my house, Libre. We had pambazos. So the one thing that made my pambazo taste especially delicious was watching Kansas City.
Yes, sir.
So I've been enjoying watching Kansas City Chiefs fans freak out. I've been enjoying the possibility of the Chiefs not making the playoffs for the first time since Patrick Mahomes took over. So, Santa, if you're listening,
He'll gift wrap it to us again on Christmas Day as well.
I don't want anything but to have the Chiefs miss the playoffs, Santa. You can make it my birthday wish too. But the Texans defense has been playing fantastic. Got to give them credit. They are being credited as the best defense in the league. I don't know if I would say the best defense in the league because the Broncos beat the best defense in the league. So, just saying. But I think the Chiefs are going to be playing with fire. They have to, Libre. They cannot afford to lose this. But I think that the Texans are going to put their giant foot on that fire and stomp it out. So go, Houston, go.
I'm with you as well. I actually do feel like Houston is a better, like how you said, a defensive team. And the Kansas City is not able to produce points when they go up against a good defense. So, and with the offense right now, with CJ Stroud coming back from his concussion, Nico Collins, they're going to have a big day against that KCD.
And then Monday Night Football, we have the Philadelphia Eagles at 8-4, going on the road to face the LA Chargers, who are also 8-4. And I'm going to say this until the Eagles are eliminated. They should have kept Kellen Moore because that offense has not looked anywhere near destructive like it did last year. They don't know what to do with Saquon. They don't know what to do with Devontae and A.J. Brown. Vic Fangio's trying. He literally is trying. Them going out and getting Jaden Phillips before the trade line, the trade deadline was a good move, but it hasn't been good enough because they lost to the Bears. And that was a game that they should have won. But the Bears kicked their ass the entire game. They were running the ball down their throats, and they lost that game. And the Super Bowl defending champions, Libre, one, don't look anywhere near as formidable as they did last year. Two, they're in danger of losing the division to the Cowboys if they sleep and they let the Cowboys creep up on them. And three, they're in danger of missing the playoffs altogether or being another wild card round exit like they were 2 years ago when they got bounced out by the Bucs. On the other hand, the Chargers, they're so hurt just like they are every year. But Justin Herbert with his hand injury thing, that really is concerning to me. He played through it last week. He really didn't have to because they already had a substantial lead over the Raiders. But if he misses any time or if he plays through it and it gets even worse and he has to sit out for the remainder of the season and possibly cost him a shot at the playoffs or whatever. But I think that the Eagles bounce back in this game because the Chargers are offensively not where they need to be. And Vic Fangio should be able to beat the Chargers because he knows how they play. So I'm going to say Philly wins this one.
I agree. Philly will win this game. Herbert, he just had surgery on his hand. So how and I just go right away think about with
Trey Lance.
Not Trey Lance, but Aaron Rodgers. You see how much pain he was in. You can only protect it so much, even if you're going to have somebody going to go on there and land on him, go in there and hit his arm or whatever. Yeah, like Rodgers, it's his non-throwing hand, but it's still going to affect you at some point. It's mentally and so forth. So I do feel like the Eagles will win this game with no hesitations.
And that's going to do it for our overtime segment. Ladies and gentlemen, Libre and I would like to say thanks to everybody in our chat today. Juan, Shai Vargas, Mahai Medlock, who had a question for you, Libre, and I missed it. Were you at Tom's for the watch party?
I was not at this last watch party for the Commanders game. I was not there.
Suspicious, Libre. Baby.
Sus. The little sus.
Tim Dog. Antonio Acosta. Who else did we have in here? That Bronco Libre guy was here. We're going to have to ban him. And Jay Weaver, of course. Thank you guys so much for being here with us in the chat. And, of course, Juan saying go Broncos. Juan, you're not supposed to say that until just before we do the credits. So come back in
bro.
5 minutes. Or whenever I screw it up.
like now.
But ladies and gentlemen, before we head on out of here, Libre and I would like to ask you just really quickly run down what you heard us say at the beginning of the top of the hour. Is to please subscribe, share, comment, and like on this and all of the videos here on the Orange and Blue Network. If there's something you guys heard me and Libre say that you agree or don't agree with, please feel free to hit up the comment section and we will respond to you ASAP. Also, for those of you listening to us on audio, well, it doesn't regardless of what platform it is, please 5-star reviews are always well appreciated. If you like to screenshot that review and send it to our Twitter handles, we will be more than happy to read them out live here on the show. Our Twitter handles, mine is at a 6'10" Mexican. Bronco Libre is at Bronco Libre 5280. For any business inquiries, you can email at broncostalk2020@gmail.com. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back next week. Oh, before I almost forgot. Boss will kill me. W is the sponsor of today and all the shows here on the Orange and Blue Network. If you use the code OBN10, you'll get 10% off your order at checkout. Again, that code is OBN10 to get your 10% off order at checkout. Shout out to W for being the sponsor on this and all the shows here on the network. And thanks to the guys over at the Nothing Around the Orange and Blue podcast for hooking us up with this amazing offer. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back next week for Broncos Talk, bringing you the live results of what happened at the Raiders game and giving you all the Broncos talk going into the next game, which is against
Green Bay.
Yeah, the team playing Los Osos this weekend. And then, of course, Broncos. Viva Los Broncos will be back this Friday at our regular bat time at the same bat channel. And Bronco Libre will be there this time. So please stop messaging me and asking me where's Bronco Libre, because I told you guys he's here. He'll be there. He's my best friend. I should know that.
Maybe.
Yeah, the other Bronco Libre will show up. The guy in
that's my imposter. Like I always say, you've made it when people start impersonating you, and we have a lot of impersonators around.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna take a picture and I'm gonna upload it and send it to you guys. Like, there's a picture of a guy with the mask just like Bronco Libre, but it's a Bears logo, but it looks just like him because it's the same colors and he's got a round, chubby face, and he's famous because he's on a billboard. So it's like, damn it. Often imitated but never duplicated, right, Libre?
Exactly. But my final thought for today, again, to all the Bronco haters, just know, keep on calling us frauds, because that just elevates us, motivates us, and we continue to pull out those W's, just like the Denver Nuggets tonight.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, he's Bronco Libre. I'm Adan Diaz. This has been Broncos Talk here on the Orange and Blue Network. With that said, we say so long. Have a good night, good day. And I will not play the wrong outro this time because I'm actually looking at the button and I'm going to press the right button this time. I'm surprised Johnny didn't yell at me because he probably didn't notice because he
forgot.
He forgot, or he fell asleep halfway, and the lazy chair reclines only so far. Ladies and gentlemen, have a good night, good day. Doesn't matter whenever you're listening to us. And as always, go Broncos!
Go Broncos! Let's go! Woo!